Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवते सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः पङ्कजनाभाय नमः पङ्कजमालिने नमः पङ्कजनेत्राय नमस्ते पङ्कजाङ्ग्रहे। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna everyone. Welcome you all on our ongoing Bhagavatam discussion. So yesterday we left where Kapil Dev actually giving instructions to Mother Devahuti, and we have completed nearly 20th chapters, and we have entered into 29 chapters of us, and we'll continue from there today. Okay, so we discuss about that a person should be offer obeisances with respect, compassion to everyone, should be in a mode of friendship and a regulation as well. And then let's continue from there. It says very important verse. It says that the pure devotee should execute devotional service by giving the greatest respect to the spiritual master and the acharyas. So we have been hearing a lot of time that a spiritual master is necessary in our life for advancement in spiritual life. Also, we need to show him a great respect, and also the acharyas. So we just believe in the scientist because scientist gives us something in as a theory, and a similar way the acharyas, they provide us the spiritual knowledge. That's why they must be respected. And then uh, we should be always compassionate towards everyone, towards the poor, and make friendship with the person we equal to us, and then show respect to the elders. And he says hearing and chanting, and by simple association with the devotees, our false ego goes away. Very nice verses comes here. That is 18th verse. He said a devotee should always try to hear about spiritual matters and should always utilize his time in chanting the holy name of Lord. His behavior should always be straightforward and simple, and although he is not envious but friendly to everyone, he should avoid the company of persons who are not spiritually advanced. So he very clearly says, Nama Sankirtanas Chame. So Nama Sankirtana, also we understand that, this Kali Yuga, in this Kali Yuga, the Yuga Dharma is Nam Sankirtana, chanting of the holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So in every Yuga, there are different mantras or ways of self-realization. But in this Kali Yuga, this is Nam Sankirtana Yagya. So sacrifice in this Kali Yuga is done by chanting the holy name. So that is why chanting of holy name is very much required in this Kali Yuga. And he said, just as air carries aroma from its source, the bhakti carries one's mind to the Lord. So till this we discussed yesterday. Like we took an example how aroma like air carries the aroma of garden or from the bad smell from the garbage. The intensity of bhakti takes us towards Lord Hari. And then he started explaining about the offenses in bhakti and its solution. So there are many kinds of offenses we do in bhakti, and what are the success. So he said, and what are the solution? He said it's basically like pouring ghee or obligations into ashes rather than fire. There is no use, isn't it? And also Prabhupada gives an example like, elephant. Elephant, he goes into the lake, he takes shower, and as soon as he come back, he starts putting mud into his back. Right. So these are basically the person who is following in the path of bhakti, he should try to avoid the offenses. Right. And by that he explains more about on that. He says, what he explains about disrespect is, or the offenses is, anyone should not should consider the living entity as super soul. Super soul is within everyone, and it's not just that, uh, doing to going temple and worshipping the deity, but not being compensated toward the living entity. And he should know clearly that in the living entity a super soul resides, and that is same Krishna. He says, I am present in every living entity. So Kapil Dev is saying I am means Krishna himself present in every living entity as super soul. And if someone neglects or disregards that super soul everywhere and engages himself in worship of the deity in the temple, that is simply imitation. Because he is not caring about the person who is residing in our heart as a super soul. He is the same person, just trying to do the deity worship. And then he says, this is kind of offenses we need to take care of. And then again he explains more on that same point. He says, anyone who worships the deity of Godhead in the temple but does not know that Supreme Lord as a Paramatma is situated in everyone's heart. And he said that person is in ignorance. Right? It's compared to like, someone putting oblacences into the ashes rather than fire. So in yajna, in sacrifices, we put oblacences into the fire, not to the ashes. Hence, he said the one who is serving the Lord, he must also know that in every living entity, the same person is situated as Paramatma, as super soul. And he explains more on that. He says, one who offers me respect, but is envious of other bodies, is therefore never attain peace of mind. So in short, he's trying to say that, we should be respectful, compassionate even towards every living entity, not just serving the Lord, but also understanding that in everyone's heart Krishna is residing as super soul, and also try to show respect towards every living entity. He glorifies more. He said, my dear mother, even if he worships with proper rituals and paraphernalia, a person who is ignorant of my presence in all living entity never pleases me. So the same point he is repeating again and again to make emphasis that he is a person and he also resides in everyone's heart as a Paramatma. And what is the solution for that? The solution he gives that to realize that the presence of Lord is in everyone's heart and have equal vision to everyone. To understand that Krishna or a supreme being is there in everyone's heart, and everyone can be and Prabhupada says, everyone in this living entity, in this material world, should try to elevate themselves towards the higher cause and understand that even in each living entity, if the animals or everything, they should consider that Krishna as supreme soul or super soul is residing in them. Then he explains about the graduation of the jivas, very nice things. There he says, the first he says the lowest one are inanimate objects, and then higher to them are living immovable of entities. And then he explains, goes more and more. He says the entities who are higher than those who have sense perception. So what is basically, so in the cosmos you can see so many types of living entity. Some insects, some some resides inside the water, some in the as a tree, the birds, some can fly, which we discussed a bit earlier as well. And he says start like informing to Mother Dehuti that these are the gradation. Like then higher than the person who has sense perception is the one of touch sensation, and then higher of that is basically the one who can perceive sense perception, touch as well as taste. And then it goes more higher and higher. It says the living entities are higher than animals. So basically in between he says there are the living beings are, they have those have many legs. We see also there are some insects who has so many legs. And then he comes back saying that higher than those are having four legs, basically animals. And then higher than those jiva are human being who have two legs. And then from those he says more higher, who then says the brahmanas are higher than all the other varnashram people. So actually now in general a living entity is categorized into four ashram, and the like brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya and shudra. And he says the highest one of those are brahmanas. And even in brahmanas he says more higher, who is that? The brahmanas who knows the Vedas. It's not just the birth, he says, who knows the Vedas. And from them the brahmana who knows the means of Vedas. So Krishna explains that in Bhagavad Gita as well. No, this is in 15th chapter. So every I am the creator of these Vedas. I know the Vedas. I am the compiler of Vedas. And the essence of Vedas is to know me. Vedas service Ahameva Vedyo. So all the Vedas are actually to know me. Right. And then he says the Brahmanas who know Vedas, the higher, and higher than those are the Brahmanas who knows the means of Vedas. And the means of Vedas is what? To know Krishna, to know me. And then he says the Brahmanas are higher than those who actually dispel the doubts of the disciples and clear the understanding of Lord Hari. And higher to those, he said, are the liberated person who do not have any thoughts of this dualities in this material world, happiness, distress. A person sees even the gold and the mud as equal. And then it's stated the highest of everyone is a pure devotee. So it's that anyone who is very, very, who is firmly fixed his conviction that Supreme Personality of Godhead has entered the body of every living entity as super soul and controller. He is the topmost one, or he is the perfect devotee. And he, because he respects everyone, every living entity. So in some 10 12 verses he explains about the gradation of jivas, how the living entities are. So to understand is basically the lower animals or the insects and those, they do not have higher consciousness, isn't it? Even we seen just now that just below the human being of two-legged, there is four-legged, or the animals who has a four legs. But even the consciousness in those four-legged animal are not that much developed that they could not understand things. They do understand many things. However, the understanding that how can they are related to God, they cannot understand these things. And that can only be understood by two-legged form, that is human form. That is why human form is very, very rare. And even this, the rarest is the one who is devoted to Lord Krishna. Right. Going ahead, I'll try to put some more thing on that. Even in Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says the same thing, uh, that the person who is a devotee is very, very rare. Also we see in earlier sessions as well how the persons is rare, and even the uh, devotees of Lord is much rare in that. And then he explains about the nature of time. What is time? He says that even the bhakti and the ashtanga yoga that gives us the Bhagavan and Brahman is described here. He says the characteristic of time, what is? The time is master of all masters, and everyone takes shelter of the time, right? And he says that no, the time has holds no one his dear. In due course of time, everyone has to finish everything, or maybe in short, uh, leave this body and take another one. And he explains that time causes every living being to be annihilated by another. So in due course of time, this is the time only. So time, no one can control time, and time controls everyone. And even a single moment passed cannot be retrieved by paying anything. A nice examples comes here. Sometimes, devotees quote gives this, that even if let's suppose a person who is on the deathbed now in doctor and in hospital, and he has got so many kind of money with him, and he can give a blank check to the doctor. He says, okay, this is a blank check for you, write as much as money you want, but save me. But it's not in his hand. The doctor cannot say guaranteely that okay, I'll save you, right? So even a single moment passed cannot be get back by the money. That's again the importance of time comes here. And the most precious thing in this world is time. And we are actually utilizing our time 40 minutes, 50 minutes a day, every day, just about hearing Krishna Katha. That is great thing actually. And then he explains more about that due to fear or order of the time, because Krishna again explains in Bhagavad Gita that he is the time. Aham kalosmin. So Krishna is the time. He says because of the fear of this or order, the devatas they function. The Indras, his duty is to pour water. The sun's duty is to give light to everyone. The moon's duty is to, it's because basically they all are serving. They are the limbs of Lord, and they are serving the Lord. And then the tree produces the flower, the fruits as per season, and rivers flows, and fire burns. And these are all, you know, earlier we understood that these all are actually a person in spiritual world, and they all are here, they manifested here just to serve Lord. And he again explains about the Gunavatara, the Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Mahesh. They are actually also carrying their service as a creation, as maintenance, as an destructions. And this the time is without beginning. So even a person's, if he was spent some year of time, but still before that time was there, and after the person dies, time will remain there. How to understand this? The time always remains there. let's let's try to understand it a bit more. Let's suppose you are on your window and watching outside on the highway road, and in the meanwhile the road is completely empty, no car is going over there. But in between you see a car coming, it comes near to you and passes away. So before the car comes, still you could see that road, you could see everything over there. It means time was there. And in one fraction of second, a car comes and goes away. That is we. The time existed from beginning, like basically without beginning or without end. And in between, we come, we grow, we reproduce, go towards old age and death. And again, cycle goes. Time is already there. So time has no beginning, time has no end. And then he says that, describe about the dissolution of the universe, those who goes back to the body of Mahavishnu, by saying that he explains a very important lessons. He says life and death of person. So first he explains about death, what happens. So he says what happens in death. I'll read the line, the translation. It is the verse number first of 30th chapter. The personality of Godhead said, as a mass of clouds does not know the powerful influence of the wind, a person engaged in material consciousness does not know the powerful strength of the time factor by which he is being carried. It means clearly say that, giving example that the cloud do not know wind can come and blow it away, isn't it? We have seen it. And in a similar way, time takes everything from us. There is a verse comes earlier in second canto, I think it's, yeah, Ayu Hariti Vai Pom Sam Sure. Yeah. So this we discussed already as well. The rising of sun and setting of sun takes away our time. However, the person who utilizes the time for glorification of Krishna, hearing Krishna Katha or chanting Krishna Katha, taking holy name, they are being saved as well. And then he says that, whatever things we accumulate, it's all being destroyed by the due course of time. So the time factor is so strong that it destroys everything, everything, everything. And then the soul, which is actually contaminated or conditioned, starts lamenting for it. And then normally what's happened, Prabhupada writes there that normally people tend to find happiness in the midst of miseries. So it's basically sandwich. So there are the two braids and the middle part, the filling of the sandwich. So the two braids are actually the miseries, and small in that, a small feeling, we get a happiness. And then again some miseries are still waiting. So miseries are there, and there is small thin of happiness. And Prabhupada writes that, generally person do not think about eternal life, which is free from birth, death, old age, and disease. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. That comes in Bhagavad Gita. That everyone should see this every day. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. Janma is birth, death, old age, and disease. And also the three kaleshas we discussed earlier. The three kaleshas, we get the miseries from our own body, from our surroundings, from our nature. And then persons generally do not think, but uh, a living entity, or who are actually have intelligence, they can think of, they should think about how can they elevate or cross the border of these seven miseries, kind of Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, and the three kaleshas. How can they cross this ocean? And when someone starts thinking about it, he actually finds a way for self-realization. And he explains in that same way that, it's very important that even a family member, to take care of his family, they engage themselves in many sinful activities. And I was telling the story of Balmiki yesterday, but I stopped there. Let's see in that, so the Ratnakar, the Balmiki's name was Ratnakar. He was actually engaged in so many, sinful activity. He used to kill and rope people. And one day, Narada Muni was passing from there, and he wanted to kill Narada Muni. Narada Muni said, "Okay, I'm surrender. You can kill me, but before that, I have some question for you. So you are actually doing very, very sinful activities. For what?" He said, "For maintaining my family." He said, "Okay. Do you know what kind of reactions are you accumulating, and what your next destination would be?" He explained a bit about hellish planets and hellish things. He said, "Okay, you go and ask your family members, are they going to take part in your miseries, which you are going to get in your next lives or sometime?" He was bewildered. He has not thought this end time. That's a purpose. We don't think about the eternal life, which can be much better than these things. So Ratnakar, he went to his home. He asked his father and mother. First, he asked, his wife and son. He says, "No, it's your duty. We are your wife and son, but it's your duty to take care of us. So we do not know, and we do not going to take part in your sinful reactions as well." He went back to his father and mother. They say the same thing, because we are your parents and we are grown up, we are old. It's your duty to take care of us. So why we will be taking your sinful reactions? You manage however you want to go, or how you want to get livings for us. It's your thought, it's your duty, not us. But you need to take care of us. And then by these words, he understood that whatever I am doing is actually, no one is taking part. Everyone is enjoying what I am giving them, but no one is ready to take the sinful reactions or take part in my sinful reactions. And then he came back to Narada Muni. Narada Muni told him that, okay, you go and come back, I will be staying here. Actually, Balmiki, he tied him, Ratnakar tied him in a rope in a tree, and then he went his home. And when he came back, he surrendered. I'm keeping cutting it short. He surrendered to Narada Muni. And then Narada Muni told him, okay, what to do now? Chant the name of Ram, Ram, Ram. But see, chanting the name of Rama, Vishnu, Krishna, it's not easy. It doesn't come from our tongue unless we have done some pious activities or associated with devotees. It's not easy to come out from the mouth, you know. And he told, okay, you try to chant Ram, Rama. But Balmiki, Ratnakar, he could not chant Ram, Rama. Then Narada Muni told, okay, you do opposite, say Mara, Mara, Mara. So when you chant 3 times Mara, Mara, you chant 2 times Ram in between that. And by just hearing it, Ratnakar didn't ask any question to Narada Muni. He said, okay. Even he didn't ask, like, how long shall I chant? Nothing. He just sat down. He said, chant until I come back. And Narada Muni came after a very long time. And he was chanting Mara, 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 Mara continuously over there. And the ants, the Balmik means ant hill. The ant hill became over there fully. He was fully covered there. And then Narada Muni came back after a long time with Brahmaji. And he could see that, okay, only just sound is coming, nothing is there. And then by these powers, everything goes broke. He came out. And from that day, his name becomes Balmiki. So there's a very nice verse comes, that ulta naam rapat jag jana, sorry, ulta naam japat jag jana, Balmiki bhai brahma samana. So by chanting, ulta means opposite, the chanting the name of Lord in opposite way, that Balmiki or Ratnakar became a very great personality, a great sage as Balmiki. So just imagine, if we chant with full devotion, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, every day, how much benefit can we get? Right. So that is how it's instructions given by Kapil Dev, that chanting is much important in this Kali Yuga, and for us as well. And then he, by explaining this about how to take shelter or how to counteract these miseries, just thinking about higher thing. And he explained that normally, in generally, people think that, okay, I'm suffering, so I work hard, get money, and then enjoy it. This is basically counteracting miseries for happiness. And that is what he explained, that we are in, we know that about x and y axis. So from the origin, the downward is called as negative axis and the top is called as positive one. So counteracting miseries for happiness is basically coming from negative to 0. But what then? We need to go from 0 to higher, towards real happiness, towards eternal happiness, which is not going to finish anyway. Right? And then he explained that, Prabhupada says it's basically like coming from negative to 0 is what? Basically like clearing our debts, and person think, wow, I have achieved something. But actually he is on a 0. Nothing has achieved. Why it is 0? As soon as this body is gone, we will take birth again and then start building that negativity to 0 again. And finish again, come again. Finish again, come again. Right? That is the teachings he gave. And then he says about what happens when a person engages in sinful activities. He said at death, he explains about the post-death experience, what happens at death. A description of hellish planet comes here. He says the person is being dragged, Yamduta comes, and the person is being dragged to 99 yonis. And 99 yonis means one yonis, Prabhupada writes that it's nearly equal to 8 mile. So nearly kind of 800,000 miles person is being dragged, and on the way he receives punishment. Even though he reached there, then also he received punishment. On the way his body is being beaten by dogs, and he's being uh, kind of so many things. Also he goes through the sun. And then what happens is he get a special kind of body. In this body, if we get so many severe pain, the person will be he will die. He won't able to bear the pain. But after death, by Yamadutas, that soul is provided a different kind of body which cannot die, just only experience pain. And it describes a bit more. The person remains so much hungry and thirsty. However, there is no like opportunity of drinking any water or shelter or food on the road while he's dragging from this Prithviloka to Yamaloka. And then he described more about those things, like in the middle, if the person is so much engaged on eating flesh, in the middle the dogs and the animals, they starts eating his flesh as well. And in a more details he said, and then he says, after going through this, the person again takes birth in the material body. And material body is again, might not be the human body. It might be from different yonis, like maybe underwater, or on the earth, or flying, and the other degradation of jivas. And then gradually he comes back to jiva, or living entity. And then from a living entity, as soon as he come back as a living entity, if he starts again engaging in sinful activities, then again the same cycle goes. But that's unfortunate that everyone forget these things and thinks, okay, I'm again got a body, let me enjoy it again. And then after describing the death, he describes about birth. What he describes, that even the suffering a child gets in the womb of a mother. I hope we have some time here. And then he says that under the supervision of Supreme Lord, and according to the result of his work, the living entity, the soul, is made to enter into the womb of a mother or woman through the particle of male semen to assume a particular type of body. So, and then he explains about the development of embryo. He says on the very first night the semen and blood mix. Fifth night he takes the size of a bubble, and after 10 days he takes the size of a fruit, very small fruit. And then in a second month, head, arms, legs, and other limbs are developed. In the third month, his nails, hair, bones, skins are developed. In the fourth month, those 7 layers of the body get developed. And the fifth month, hunger and thirst develops. And sixth month, the covered by the skin. And the seventh month, consciousness. And then after eighth and ninth, he is eager to come out to this material world. However, important things happens here, that and the baby is again nourished by the mother's food that we know about from the science, which actually provided in our scriptures. And inside the womb, he's always remain there within the kind of blood and stools. That is very horrible. Even the worms, they bite there. And important thing comes that if the person is fortunate, he could see his last or past 100 births, right? And by seeing those, that jiva in the womb of his mother, he start praying to Lord Krishna, because as he could see the past lives, he could see Krishna as well, because Krishna only gives in the remembrance. Amazing. And then he says, the soul starts praying to Lord. He said, okay, please, this time I won't forget anything, and and I desire to get out of this clutches of Maya. and please help me out on that. But unfortunately, what happens, as soon as the person or jiva comes out, due to the suffering, he forgets everything that I have seen my previous births, and I have taken shelter of Krishna, and I have promised him that in this life I will come back to your Godhead, I'll come back to my spiritual world. But due to suffering, he forgot everything. And then he explains about the suffering outside womb. So as soon as come back, as soon as the living entity comes out, he could not breathe properly, and the past memories are finished now. He could not remember anything. He comes out normally in upside down, and cries out a lot and enters into ignorance. And the people do not understand his desire and put him into more miseries, and that's the whole things carries on and carry on. So that is how the birth, first I describe about death and the birth, both are miseries, isn't it? Both are miseries. And then he explains about the effect of bad association. The person, once he grows after the birth, if he engages himself again into sinful activities, normally he said about the association of the people. So depending on the association of the people, he start doing unrighteous work, and he engage himself in sexual enjoyment and sense gratification, and again goes on the same hellish process. But association with sinful activities, all of his good qualities goes away. But when we start associating with the devotees, with the persons who are near to Krishna, then he regains his knowledge and thinks about higher thing. And he says, he becomes devoid of truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy, gravity, spiritual intelligence, shyness, austerity, fame, forgiveness, control of mind, control of the senses, and of all fortune and all such opportunities, just by association of bad people. And having said that, he glows more about the sinful actions. So this knowledge is basically how we should be, a person should try not to engage on these things. And then he explains about understanding birth and death and beyond. So from this we will take tomorrow. Yes, and from this we will take tomorrow, and we'll pay our obeisances on to Canto 3 tomorrow as well. Right, so we will continue the understanding of, already we have understood about the understanding of birth and death. We will understand the understanding of beyond birth and death. Okay, if anyone have any questions or any suggestions, please let me know.
Prabhu, I have one question.
And thank you everyone for your nice feedbacks. I have gone through couple of those, but not fully yet, and I will try to take ahead. I think many of those have told that okay, we would like to continue, and that's a good. We can continue on that. Okay. If there is no question, then we can.
I think there was somebody who had a question, Prabhuji.
Prabhu, can you, Suchitra, can you hear me?
Okay.
Prabhu?
So if there is no question, then we can pay our senses.
Hare Krishna.
Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Hari Bol.
Prabhuji, can you
Prabhu,
hear?
Prabhu can't
ki
hear.
jai.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I can. It's all right.
Maybe tomorrow. Yeah. Okay.
I can't hear anyone. Is it anyone speaking something?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a question from Adhika Vidas. There is a
No,
question.
not from me. I mean, Sujitra Mataji was asking one question.
I can't hear anyone actually.
Prabhu, I'm not sure why. Okay, I'll ask tomorrow then. It's okay. I'm not sure why you can't hear me. I can hear everybody else as well.
Okay, if you
I
want, I
can
can
hear
actually
too.
even type. Otherwise, I'm not sure. I'm not able to hear anyone.
It's okay. Okay. Typing. Can I ask tomorrow? I'll ask tomorrow instead. Where is the typing bit?
Yeah, now I could hear someone. Yeah.
Oh, Prabhu, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear. Sorry for that. I don't know. I could not
Oh,
hear.
okay. No, it's okay. Prabhu, I just one question at the beginning of today's session. You were saying how obviously respecting everyone, because not just praying to deity in the temples, and but respecting people because Krishna's in everybody. But also you said that obviously to avoid association of those who are not so highly spiritual. How do you reach a balance of being respectful to everyone, but also avoiding those people who are not obviously spiritual, or maybe not even very civilized, or those sort of things? Trying to show respect, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I got your questions. Thank you for your nice question. Yeah. So what Kapil Dev is saying here is that it's not just worshipping deity. We should also understand that in every living entity there is a supreme soul is there as a super soul. So just worshipping deity and disrespecting people is not good. What he is saying. And definitely in our day-to-day life we see so many people here and there, and we need to associate with them. There, to be very honest, we can associate with them with the knowledge that I am associating with him or her for just the need, and then do not engage more on that. So it's
Yes.
definitely we need to associate in the material world, but Prabhupada explains already that a devotee though associate with everything, but in still his mind Krishna is going on, and we should not try to we should try not to offend anyone or hurt anyone, and with the sweet words we can associate and just come back as soon as our work is done from them.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Prabhuji, just one question from my end. You said if you are into sinful activities and all that, Yamraj just makes your soul suffer for so many years or something.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think then the soul, after it has suffered so much, it should be pious? It's almost like washing your clothes in a washing machine. And because the reason why I'm asking this is, I've also heard that people take birth in a well-to-do family or a very downtrodden family based on their past karmas as well.
Mm-hmm.
If we are bound to suffer our next life based on our past karma, then why does the soul have to suffer after it dies? If you know what I mean, it's almost like you do sinful activities. It's like you go into hell, and then also in your next life you're going to suffer. Am I right in saying that?
Yes. The understanding how it gets is basically, so I'll take another way around and I'll answer you. So what happens normally when we do some pious activity in our daily life, we elevate ourselves to heavenly planet. Because we have so much pious and heavenly planet, there is so much opulent to enjoy. So we go there and enjoy there. But before the quota of happiness is about to end, we come back again in this material world and then start enjoying it. And as we come into this material world, we associate with three modes: passion, ignorance, and goodness. And we have the free will. So we have the free will. Those things again goes on. The how are we actually associating with these three modes? And that as the association goes on, we start culminating pious or sinful activities, sinful reactions. And that accumulation goes on and on, and then we again suffer again. So in the similar way, when we go to the hellish planet, the soul suffers, and then it depending on the activities and desires, two things are there: the activities what we have done and the desire what we had, And the unfulfilled desires, if we have unfulfilled desires, Krishna, being merciful, send us back to fulfill those desires. And in this life, if we have a desire of doing simple activities, and if we haven't completed those, again we'll come by his mercy and we'll start doing those things. But the thing is that we have a free will. If we are intelligent enough to utilize that free will, not to associate with the bad things and do associate with the good things, then we can actually purify ourselves, right? So in the apart from apart from human body, the other species, they don't have karma, they don't have karma reaction. Actually, they got this body like in a tiger. So if a tiger kills a person and eat the flesh, there is no reactions to him, because he has got the body, he has to do it, right? But as soon as he comes in the body of human being, because human being is the last one, from all the degradation comes from lower to higher. As soon as he has got the highest consciousness, and what activities he does, that defines his next destiny, right?
Yeah. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna Prabhuji. Just last question on the same note, like I think the Prabhuji, Rishabh Prabhu, what asked is like, is there any difference between the scenes, like which scenes we will get punished on the by the God, and which scenes we will carry forward on our next life? So is there any difference, like?
So basically, I'm not very much sure on this question, but all the sins are that get repent and get punished. So either we get punished right away, or we get punished in next life or in next life. So many sins are there, we get the results very soon, isn't it? We see it, okay, I've done some mistake, like uh, someone is doing some criminal things, okay, he can escape for 1 or 2 times, but again he might get caught in the police and go back into jail and get punishment. So that is, he got the punishment of his deed in his right, in the same body. But there are so many other sinful things which no one has seen, or you might not have been caught for doing sinful activities, but it will be repaying back again in the later your later birth. Because we might hide any things from the world, but we cannot hide any movement from the one who is living inside our heart as super soul. So how Vedas explains is that in a tree there are two birds. The two birds, one bird and the second bird, right? So who are the two birds? One bird is a soul and the second bird is super soul. So super soul is just witness what the soul is doing through the body, right? So we can escape from anything and from our world. Maybe we'll keep our phone back and do some simple activity. Google cannot track us as well where we are, but we cannot hide anything from the soul. And when the death comes, the Yamaraj, he actually used to see the full movie again, what we have done in our life, and accordingly he provides our next destination. Is that answers your question?
Yeah, means so my question was exactly, it was like, for what things we will get punished in hell, and for what thing we will get punished in our next life. So what makes the difference, like for
Yeah,
what scenes, like
Exactly, that was also my question, as he's
yeah.
also saying, like, what's the difference between like suffering from Yamraj as well, and then again going back into the next life and repenting for your karmas, or paying for your karmas, your past karmas or something.
Okay, I think there is again description comes in 5th canto. So I'll pull it again and I'll answer you all this question tomorrow, right? So there are activities associated with sinful reactions as well. Like just for example, Prabhupada gives an example about desire. Let's say suppose someone is actually, he is He's more like on swimming. He wants to be a very nice swimmer and always attached to the activities of swimming. So in the next life, he might get a birth of fish in a different kind of fish, so that he can swim freely without any need, right? And some Prabhupada gives example of, like, let's say the celebrities, who are actually uh, eager to expose their body, right? And they might get a life of trees. You stand there naked for years and years. So definitely there are many more details out there. I'll find it out and come back tomorrow or in a day or two.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. I think Ashwin Prabhu has some question. Or is it Ashmi Mataji?
No, Prabhu, I got the answer.
Okay.
Just now I said there. It depends on the type of sin, right?
Okay.
So it essentially depends on the type of sin.
All right. I'll come back to this different type of sins. Definitely it's there in Bhagavatam. Okay. Hare Krishna then.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
See you
Krishna.
tomorrow.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Radhika Shanti.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
चली गई. She's gone.
Hare Krishna.